Hello and welcome to Filmi Ladies. It is Pituka birthday today, or we are
Yay!
celebrating it. This episode will come out a little bit after her birthday, but we are recording for her birthday. And for her birthday, for the podcast purposes, I said that her present was she could make me watch any movie that she wanted. And so she has chosen Sairat from 2016, the Marathi film, which I think everybody knows about. This is a very famous
Yeah.
film. It's been remade into five other Indian languages at least, but I had never watched it because I knew what it was about and I didn't want to watch it. But she made me watch it, so I have watched it. Maybe I'm an improved human being. We'll find out. This discussion will be extremely spoilery, so if you do not know this film and you think you might want to watch it, I would just don't listen to this episode. Also, uh, we'll start off with the biggest spoiler right away. This film is about honor killings,
Yes.
among other things. So if that does not sound like a nice topic to you, also feel free to skip this episode, which is what I would do if I were you, if I were listening to this episode. Please don't listen to this episode. I'm just kidding. Like, please do if you're interested. But this is a very difficult topic, obviously, for a lot of reasons. And some of them were the reasons I hadn't watched this film yet. So take care of yourself and do what um, is safe for you at this time. Um, I think I want to start by saying two things. One is I was struck consistently throughout this film by the cruelty
Hmm.
of the worlds that these people live in, and not just the obvious one that hangs over the whole film, but just the small scale stuff, like the way the boys, especially our lead romantic hero, talks about his friend who has a,
Hmm.
a physical deformity of some kind, like the fact that he calls him a cripple all the time was very upsetting to me, actually. Um, and then the other thing I want us to talk about at some point is why do you think this movie became the phenomenon that it did when there are other films that
Mm.
also discuss this topic? And I had a hard time coming up with them, but I know I've seen them. And the first one that came to mind and then stuck with me the longest was the first segment of Dibakar Banerjee's Love, Sex or Dhokha, which is, a few years before this film.
Right.
Pretty similar in some ways, although obviously much shorter and a different setting and all. So I'd like to get into that too. But
Yeah.
maybe let's start with why did you want me to watch this?
I just think it's like a really important movie to watch.
Mm.
It's kind of like, how I'm not like a big fan of Amitabh's angry young man movies.
Hmm.
Like I like Diwar, but I I mean I'm not like some gigantic fan of like Trishul and
Yeah.
Dawn and like,
All the
like I
others.
can do without them. Yeah, all the
Yeah.
others basically,
Yeah.
or even Sholay for that matter,
Mm.
But I also think that you can't call yourself a Bollywood fan without having watched them at least once. Like
Sure.
you have to watch them just to at least know that.
So that you
Or
know. Yeah.
exactly. And then you can do with it what you want to do, but you have
Right.
to at least watch it. So
Right.
I feel like Sairat is like an important movie to
Hmm.
watch. And
Hmm.
Sairat talks about a lot of things in a very new way and
Mm.
in a very raw way. And
Mm.
I think it's a very courageous movie and a very
Hmm.
boldly told movie because it's a movie that goes there,
Yeah.
right? It does not pull any punches. One of my frustrations with movies is that when movies are made about like serious topics, they kind of lose their steam halfway through, and they
Mm.
don't have the courage to like really say what they want to say. They want to spare you the horror, but I think that's stupid because horrible things happen in this world.
Yeah.
And even if those horrible things are not happening to you or to me because like we live in a bubble or whatever, we should still be aware of those things. And we should at least have, if we're going to watch a movie on a topic like this, we should at least have the ability to bear witness to that. And I
Mm.
think that the writer and the director should be honest to that. So what I love about Sarad really is how unflinchingly
Hmm.
brutally honest it is, and it
Mm.
does not want to spare your like they do not give a shit about your feelings, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? And there's a lot of courage that it takes to do that.
Mm.
I've seen this movie now for only the second time,
Yeah.
and I still have no idea how that ending got made. I don't have a I don't find it shocking that the movie got made. That's fine.
Mm.
But that ending in particular, I have absolutely no idea how the producers were okay with that. It's one thing for the writer director to write it, and it's one thing for the actors to act in it, but just how brutal it is and what a slap in the face that is. Very, very few people have the balls to do that. So I just
Do
think it's an important movie.
do you feel that the ending is shocking because we see violence at this level
Yeah.
all the time?
Yes.
all the time, but it's not grounded in as much reality as this film,
Yeah.
I assume,
Hmm.
is. Um, and then of
I
course also there's the because I knew, and yet also I was hopeful.
Yeah. Yeah.
Even though I knew what happened at the end, although I didn't
Yeah.
know when it was going
Right.
to happen exactly,
Yeah.
um, I knew, and yet I was still horrified and sad.
Yeah. I think that's the other thing too, right? Like, I think Bollywood does us a huge disservice, or even Hollywood movies do us a huge disservice when they only show you violence in a violent setting. Like when you
Yeah,
walk into a
very
mafia
much.
movie, if you're watching the Godfather trilogy,
Yeah,
there's going to be violence every 5 minutes. You're expecting it. If you didn't
yeah.
expect it, you wouldn't even watch those films, right? Or if you're watching a mafia TV show like The Sopranos or whatever, or in Bollywood, if you're watching things by Anurag Kashyap, like if you're watching Gangs of Wasseypur, there's going to be bloodshed every five
Or
minutes.
any of the propaganda films or Dabong
Yeah,
or any of those, right?
exactly.
Any
Yeah.
almost any action films or Pathan or
Right.
Jawan or
Or Dharmendra's later films that
right,
he did, where the
right.
font has there's but there's an expectation of violence in those films.
Hmm.
And I think because it's a violent setting, you think
Hmm.
it can't happen to you. And you think it can't happen to normal people. Like you watch a movie like Gangs of Wasseypur and you're like, well, that happens in some like village somewhere and they're all goons. Or, you're watching mafia people. I'm not a
They
mafia
have
person. I have a
chosen
nice job.
or are aware that they are in lives of crime.
Right. Violence is assumed and expected in those films.
Hmm.
You don't watch Sairat and assume that that's what's going to happen, but that is the reality of honor killings. Honor killings are perpetrated 9 times out of 10 by the parents
Yeah,
of these people, the same parents that produce those children, the same parents that supposedly loved their children
yeah.
and raised their children, and a lot of times those kids have no idea what's going to come. I think there's always this feeling of like, well, they wouldn't do that to me, surely.
Hmm.
So I think that's the truth. That's the reality, though. That's also what makes it that horrifying, right? Like the coldness of it all. And I think that's also what makes honor killing so heinous. I mean, when I lived in Chicago, if you opened the Chicago Sun-Times or whatever, every day they would be like, oh, side of Chicago, there was gang warfare and like 15 people died. And I'm like, oh, okay, that's just a Tuesday on the south
Yeah.
side of Chicago. And I'm turning the page. But you don't hear of this that often. You don't know anyone that has happened to. And that's what makes it that much more heinous, because it's your own blood that chose to do it. And why?
Hmm.
Because you chose to marry someone that they didn't approve of. That's crazy. And I think Nagraj Manjule is so brilliant. I think it's so brilliant for him to build this movie as a
Hmm.
typical movie. It's really a little bit of a bait and switch, because the way it starts, it's a romantic story. They're so young, they're high school graduates, they're in college. There's these beautiful songs, there's this epic soundtrack. They're so sweet and pretty and wholesome. Archie looks like some girl that I could be friends with.
Yeah.
She's so darling. And it's just normal. It
Uh,
starts off as a normal love story, and yeah, whatever, her parents don't like him, yeah, big deal, whatever. But it just keeps escalating, and it's going on this upward trajectory. Things are looking up for them. When you see them in Hyderabad, they have run away from home. They have not one penny to their name. They're just wandering the streets looking for a lodge to live in. No one will give them a place to stay, and they're staying at the railway station and stuff. And you're like, what is going to happen to these kids? They're kids, right?
yeah.
But then slowly it starts improving. They build a life for themselves. They
Yeah.
have jobs. They have a place to stay. They have like a mentor who's helping them out. I hope you recognize her from Lapata Ladies. It's Manju Mami, who is the guardian angel of people.
Oh, I did not recognize her. Thank you for
That's
pointing that
Chaya
out.
Kadam. Yeah. So apparently that seems to be her role in life, where she like rescues like people in Lapata Ladies and in Sairat or whatever. So you think things are going well for them, and you see them moving up in the world, right? Like they
Yeah.
visit
They buy
an
a
apartment
house.
building that's under construction. They get married. They have a baby shower. They have a baby. Things are looking good. And in
Hmm.
that last scene, when the person is just very dispassionately looking at the photo album, there's pictures of them at the Taj Mahal, pictures of them with friends, pictures of them kissing each other. Here's this world that they've built, and you're like, the kids are going to be all right. It's going to be fine. Sure, the dad didn't come and the mom didn't come, but look, the mom sent those homemade laddus and she sent those sweet little gifts for the little baby. It's going to be okay. And Archie even says that to Persha, like he has his misgivings in the
Yeah.
kitchen and she's like, it's going to be okay. I knew it's going to be okay. And she's smiling and you buy it because they buy it.
Mm,
And then when that end comes,
yeah.
you're just like, what did you just do? What just happened? But that's the reality. That is how it happens. Honor killings, most of the time they catch you, they find you. You
Mm,
probably are living your whole life like looking over your shoulder, and just when you think you're clear, that's when they get you, right? Because you stopped covering up your tracks. And there's just such a heartrending quality to that, but I think that there's also like an unflinching look at the truth. And
mm,
I do think that we should bear witness to
yeah.
that,
Yeah.
you know. So I just think it's a very important movie to watch. I think it's a beautifully made film. I think it's very feminist. I love Archie so much. I love her character so much, and those big like saucer eyes that she has. Every time her eyes fill with tears, I want to cry. But
Mm.
it's a hard movie.
Her misunderstanding of who her parents are is heartbreaking to me because there's that scene where she's telling when they're in
Um,
Hyderabad and I think she's talking to one of her new colleagues at the
yeah,
factory, maybe.
the
And she
coworker.
says, this is what my family is like, and we own this much land, and they're good people. Like, after
No.
what they've already put you through and what you have literally seen them do to
Yeah.
your partner and his friends, and you call your dad a good
Hmm.
man. You are I don't even know what word to use for her.
She's like
Like,
naive and delusional
she's
and
delusional,
innocent.
I think.
Yeah.
She's delusional. How old are they supposed to be? Like 19 or 20?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like super young.
You are delusional if this
Yeah.
is what you think of your father, or
Yeah.
even if this is what you choose to portray as your
Yeah.
father. And because we don't see her talk about him any other time, I think that we have to kind of accept that that's what she actually thinks about him. Um,
Yeah.
and that I was understanding that my sense is if she had not called her mother, this would not have happened.
100%.
So it's
100%.
her inability to, or refusal to, something like that, see her family for who they really are, that causes this. Um,
Yes.
and she has had every opportunity to see who her family really
Hmm.
is.
Yeah. Which is also so heartbreaking, right? Like, this is going to sound so facetious, but there's a bumper sticker that I often see, which I wish I could buy for my car, but my husband won't let me. And it says, be the person your dog thinks you are.
Right.
You know, her impression and her image of her parents is so childlike. She lives in such a bubble where she thinks she's willing to forgive them all their trespasses, all the bad things that have happened. She just there's like I think with her there's naivete and innocence and delusion, but it's also mixed in with the fact that when she did live at home, she had a really good life,
Yeah.
and she's mixing those things up a little bit,
Very
like
much. Yeah.
she's very, how we say like, oh, the paise wali or whatever, right? Like, I know you couldn't tell this from the subtitles, but the bungalow she lives in, the name of the bungalow is Archana.
I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah, which is her own name, right?
Yeah.
So I
I
think,
actually paused. I'm like, let me practice reading. I was like, oh
right.
yeah, that's her name.
Like, the bungalow is named for her. It's not named for
Yeah.
her brother, whose name is, of course, Prince, who is a horrible person, who's a horrible piece of work. It's named for her. She is clearly very like, like spoiled. She has like a fair bit of privilege. She knows she's like the big guy's daughter. She's like the
Hmm.
richest person. She drives her moped. She also drives her bullet, the
Yeah.
Royal Enfield. She also drives the tractor. She goes to school. She has all of these plans. She has nice clothes. She has jewelry. She has makeup. She has all the things. I
And a
think to
phone. She
her,
has a
she
phone.
has a phone. She's allowed so much freedom. She has friends. She has all the things. And it's like, I think she thinks that means her parents love her. The problem is that love is completely conditional and she just doesn't get it. I think Persha's character is far more, he's very
Oh yeah.
meek and innocent, but
Yeah.
he knows. And I think she's blinded by the privilege
Yeah.
that he never had. He's a fisherman's son. He knows he's nobody on the totem
Yeah.
pole. So,
Yeah.
like, he knows. And he's also the one that keeps getting beat up, so he knows. And I think when she, like, every time she tries to call her mom or speak with her mom on the phone or whatever, you can tell that Persha does not approve of that. He's not a
Right.
big fan of this. It's like, we
No.
made a clean break. Let's just let sleeping dogs lie. Let's just live our life, wish them well from afar, not mess with
Yeah.
them in any way. But
Yeah.
again, I think it's her innocence and her naivete, and it's just, yeah. But I do sometimes wonder about the mom, though. Like, I still have, I mean, her dad is obviously a horrible human being. He's a sociopath or psychopath, whatever. But like, her mom, I sometimes feel like her mom is kind of like that bichari ma from all of those movies where the husband is just a tyrant and the mom is just like, has no voice whatsoever.
Yeah. I went at
You
the end of
know?
the film, I wondered if they didn't show us this, but the mom might be dead too.
Oh, I didn't even think of that.
I wonder.
Oh, that would make sense.
I bet
Because the
she's,
mom, she sent like those presents and she said the laddus and stuff. And I think that she probably said to her husband, our daughter finally has a child, like, she has a child. Let's make amends and let's go meet them. And the dad was probably like, no, we're not going to meet them because, like, status, whatever.
and
But
she's dead to
fine.
me. He said she's dead, right?
Yeah. But fine, we can send
Or
things with people or
something
whatever,
like
but we're
that.
not going to go. But I wonder if the mom genuinely just also got duped,
Oh,
you
I think
know?
so. I think
Yeah.
she did. Yeah. I assume she did.
But it never occurred to me that she might be dead too.
Yeah.
And I think that's also what makes that end scene so heinous. Like, I've seen this movie before and I still got a little bit fooled. Like, when they're just like hanging around in the living room and she's like, I'm gonna make tea. And they're like, okay. And it's so banal. It's
Hmm.
so mundane. They're like looking
Yeah.
around. They're watching TV. There's some like Bollywood song playing. They're like leafing through the photo albums. They know they have a child and they're just
Yeah.
kind of like chilling, because to them it's just, whatever, this is our job, this is what we do, we kill
Right.
people.
We've done this many times
Yeah, it's not personal.
to these people.
Yeah, it's fine. And I think that also, I think, is a truth that most people don't want to accept, that
Sure.
there are people for whom killing is just, it's honestly, it's just a job.
Right.
This is what they do for a living and it's not personal, it really isn't.
Yeah.
I think that is also a reality that most people don't want to think about, and I think that's also what makes it so horrible.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And I like that in the end, the shot of the baby, you just see the baby's reactions and it's just
And
silent,
those
because I
the
mean,
footprints.
it's awful. And you just see the baby walk away and the movie just ends. It's like, that's it. You're not going to get that happy ending wrapped up with a bow,
Hmm.
because you know what? There's millions of people who don't get that. So why should you get that?
Hmm. Hmm.
I just think that it takes so much balls to do that. I don't think I could ever do it. Like, if I
Hmm.
wrote this story or if I directed this movie or if I acted in this movie, I don't know if I could go through with that ending. I would want that ending to just assume that good things happen. So, yeah, it's hard.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, there's a scene in the very beginning after the cricket match. By the
Yeah.
way, I will say, starting with a 10-minute cricket match, oof,
Yeah.
that's rough too. That is
Yeah.
rough too for people like me, and I think for you as well. And I was like, oh,
Yeah.
what am I watching? Oh no, it's honor killing and cricket. No. Um, when her dad gets on the stage
Mm.
and has the subtitle said he has a line about people need to control their women. Uh, and
Oh,
he
okay.
says something about is it in that he has the word is it, I'm pretty sure, in his
Mm.
speech. And I was like, oh, here we go.
Right.
Because I had this moment of, and I did not look at Wikipedia or anything other than to
Right.
see their names, the actors' names and all. I didn't look at the plot. I was like, oh, maybe I heard about this wrong. Maybe I'm remembering the talk about this movie wrong. And then that happened. I'm like, oh no, I'm not. This is him.
No.
This is him. You can tell.
Yeah.
Um, One of the other truly horrifying scenes to me is, and as I've mentioned, I'm the child of educators and I work in education. That
Oh.
that brother, whoever he is in the classroom, and then the way what they do to those teachers, just, you know,
Hmm.
that was almost more enraging to me in a way. But
Yeah.
I don't know why, because these are people who don't, they're not of your family. Like, you didn't raise them. You don't get to say to them what they can do and not, but obviously you have money and you are not
Yeah.
afraid of, you are very willing to use violence, then you do
Yeah.
get to say whatever you want. And we don't really see what happens with the school after that.
No.
But
Mm-mm.
that was absolutely harrowing to
Well,
me.
even the scene where so the brother slaps the teacher, which was obviously
Yeah.
horrible, and then the teachers are gonna go to the father's house to like speak about it, and they look very like, cowed down.
Yep.
And there's that tiny little scene where the father just like laughs at his son, and he's like, "Really? You just slapped him?"
Good
But
job.
he's laughing, yeah.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's gross. And literally, the boy turns towards the camera, and you can just see like he's so pleased with it. And it's just like awful. And that's one point at which Archie actually says to her brother before the dad enters the scene, she literally says, "You should be ashamed of yourself. Like, that
Yep.
was horrible."
Yep.
And I think that's one of the things that I find so interesting about Archie is that she's truly been raised in an environment where her father is a horrible human being. Her brother is very much becoming
Oh
her
yeah.
father's exact duplicate copy. Her mother, potentially, seemingly, is a decent human, but she has no voice
Hard to say.
whatsoever. So it doesn't
Yeah.
matter. But Archie actually is a decent person. Archie is a person who doesn't think that like that's not okay, you shouldn't be talking to your teacher like that. But that's like just one person's voice. Why would Prince listen to her? Like, whatever, his father thinks it's okay, he
Yeah.
doesn't. His sisters, and he even says to her, "Don't lecture me." And she was like, "Of course I'll lecture you, you did the wrong thing." I also
Hmm.
love how she points out the flaws in even Persha's behavior, right? Like
Yeah.
when Persha and everyone else, they just keep calling his friend Langra, 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 right? And they
Hmm.
don't actually do it with like a sense of meanness. It's just that's what they call him. And she actually says, "What's his name?"
Yeah.
And he's like, "My name is Pradeep." And she's like, "That's such a nice name. Why don't you call your friend by his name? Why do you call
Yeah.
him Cripple? That's not nice." And for the first time, you can see that like thing go off where they're like, "Oh, is that not something we should do?" She's always trying to make people a better version of themselves. And sometimes it comes across as like
She's pretty
bossy or
bossy.
controlling. She
Yeah,
is. Yeah.
she is.
But I think it often comes from a place of, I think it comes from a place of idealism. And I think that's also
Mm.
why she gets so screwed in the end. Like, I love that scene where she says, "Are you eating gutka?" To Salim.
Oh
She's
yeah.
like, "Are you eating gutka?" And he's like, "No." And she's like, "Your cheeks are full of gutka. Why are you eating gutka?" And then, he's just like, "Do not," and she has this line constantly where she says, "Marathi samjhta English mein sangu. If you don't understand Marathi, should I tell you in English?" Because she's also proud of the fact that she speaks
Yes.
fluent English, right?
Yes.
So they throw away the gutka packets, and I was like, yes, the anti gutka advocate we needed. Like while the Akshay Kumars and Ajay Devgans and Shah Rukh Khans are like minting money by doing gutka ads, here we have a 16-year-old girl from a village telling people, "I can tell you all about the bad things that will happen to you if you eat gutka. Stop the shit."
Hmm. Hmm.
So she's just such a well-written character. She has her flaws. She clearly comes from a place of privilege of being like, "I'm rich and I know it. I'm special and I know it. I'm
Yeah.
better than all of you and I know it." So there's a little
Yeah.
bit of that, but there's also like innocence and naivete. And one of the things I love about this movie is that she very much openly shows her interest in Persha. So
Hmm.
he's actually the meek one. And I love those scenes like in the classroom where she's just like, he's kind of like stealing glances at her and she's just like actually staring at him and he's so embarrassed and he like looks
Yeah.
down.
Yeah.
Or when she's playing kabaddi and she
Yeah.
confronts him, she's like, "Oh, are you staring at me?" And he's like, "I'm not staring at you. I'm just also, how would you know you're staring at me?" And if he's like, "If you don't like it, you don't have to look at me." And she's like, "Who said I didn't like it?" And he's just like, "What?" I love that she's not coy and demure. And she's
Right.
like, "Yeah, I'm attracted to you. So what? Big deal." You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
I just thought that was amazing. Like she
Yeah.
was just darling.
Uh, I have a question about the plot towards the end, and
Mm,
I was needing to finish the film, so I didn't go back and rewind to try to
hmm
figure it out for myself. Towards the very end, I believe it's either right before or right after the montage of their lives really coming together in
mm,
Hyderabad and the jobs in the house and everything. They're back at the panchayat in the village.
mm.
Are his parents and or family members at that meeting?
I
Do you
got the
remember?
impression that those people are basically being banished from the village because soon after that, you see a scene where Salim, who is the other friend, Salim and
Hmm.
his family are helping them like
Oh,
pack
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 up.
up their
Okay,
things,
I
and
missed that.
they're
Okay.
putting those things in like a truck or a lorry of some
Okay,
sort,
so
and
they're
they're sort of
leaving.
waving to them and leaving. So they've basically been like, which tracks, right? Like if this horrible rich
Oh yeah.
family, they're going to be like, no, you can't live here. Like
Yeah.
you're lucky you haven't been hacked to death,
Right.
but they
Right.
have to leave.
Yeah.
And there's even that scene where so Salim and the other friend Salim and Pradeep go with them by the bus,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
And
yeah.
then Salim basically takes them to his uncle's
Yeah.
garage, Shahid garage, and that's where the uncle is like, what, like just out of friendship you ran away with these people, like this is not a movie, this is real life, you don't do that, you need to go back,
Yeah.
because he also knows that it's friendship is one thing, but these people are dangerous, and you'll be lucky if you don't die.
Hmm.
So so it's sort of this like ricocheting effect where
Hmm.
it's not just these two. Like when these two ran away, they put a target on the back of everyone.
Oh yeah.
They put a target on his family, who already are not rich or anything like that. They
Yeah.
put a target on Salim's family. Salim's family is very lucky they weren't banished from there, maybe because they didn't know the extent of Salim's helping him.
Hmm.
They put a target on Pradeep's family.
Hmm.
Thankfully, nothing happened to him either. Like those two boys who helped them are lucky. Nothing bad
Yeah.
happened to them,
I
you know?
I wanted to know more about what happened to Pradeep in particular,
Hmm.
because he's shown as being a quite resilient person, I
Hmm.
think, um, and a sort of realist, but in a cheerful way.
Yeah.
And I really hope that they let
Hmm.
him
The friends are
survive.
really sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah. I even liked Archie's friend, the really like nervous Nellie.
Yeah. She was
Archie
right.
Archie always has these ideas that she's like, oh God, no,
Yeah.
I liked her
Yeah.
too. Like I liked the portrayal of the friends. Like I thought that was like quite realistic as well.
Yeah.
And I like the gender flipping. I like that the guy is the one who's more meek and he's more
Mm,
nervous and more shy. And it's really Archie. Like it's really Archie who runs away from her house and goes to his house and says, I don't want to live with them. I want to live with you and let's run away. If it weren't for her, I don't know if he would have eloped. I don't think he would have
yeah,
hatched
I'm
that
trying to
plan to
remember. I
elope.
mean, his friend is trying to hold him back, right? And like he's like,
Yeah.
I have to see her one more time and all that.
And it's either Pradeep or Salim, one of them who holds him back, and they're like, no, you will get like beaten up. You cannot. And, he
Right.
drags him back. And then presumably he's probably like, better sense prevails. And he's like, just let it be. Just forget all
Hmm.
about her. But then she shows up at his house and she's
Hmm.
the one who's like, I also found her cousin interesting. The boy whose name is Mangya. Like initially he's the one that picks a fight because he's like, that's
Yeah.
my cousin. You can't talk to her. But later on, he's actually the one who helps them. I
Mm.
found that interesting too, where it's like you can be part of that patriarchal mindset and having this idea of ownership over your female cousin, which is so gross. But at the same time, better sense prevails. And he's like, wait a minute, what am I doing? Why am I being such a
Yeah.
jerk? Let me help these out. I think that's also, it's interesting. People aren't like just black or white, and
Yeah.
there's
Well,
shades in there.
some people.
Well, some people are, yes.
Some people are just horrible.
They are.
Uh, I also thinking about who's horrible in this movie. Most of the parents obviously are
Yeah.
terrible, but
I
also
mean, Precious parents are fine. His mom is nice.
they throw him out though.
I mean, his dad does beat him up, but I think again, his dad is just so scared.
And they say you
His
have to
dad,
go. You have to leave.
yeah, his
Yeah, I
dad
mean,
reminds me a lot of Vijay Raz's character from Gully Boy.
mm,
Where it's
yeah,
like when you watch Gully Boy and like you're so mad at Vijay Raz, and because it's Vijay Raz, he sells everything so well, and I'm
he
like,
does.
do not get in Murad's way. But like the thing he says, where he's like, you're not rich, you're not going to
Yeah,
fare as well as you think you are. And I
yeah,
think how much of that is just his parents just being difficult, and how much of that is them knowing that things will not end
yeah.
well.
I mean, it can be both, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm wondering about so her mother, is so
Cowed.
yeah. And I was thinking about in retrospect, I'm kind of surprised that as soon as her parents caught, or especially her dad, obviously caught them in the car at the
Mm.
party, that they didn't marry her off to someone else.
They try to remember there's this scene where she's wearing a sari
Yeah, but
and the
then
thing over
then
her
what happens? She
head.
runs away.
Yeah.
I'm kind of surprised they didn't somehow wrangle her more quickly back, but yeah, it is impressive that she got away the
Yeah.
first time.
I wonder if it was actually Mangya who helped her.
Must be, right?
Potentially, yeah,
Must be.
like an inside job, someone in her home
Yeah,
that helped her out, or if she
yeah,
just like snuck out or something. But they do, because like the very next day, you see three cars pull up,
yeah,
and she's wearing a sari and she's all
yeah,
grumpy and she's fighting with her mom and her auntie in the corridor, and
yeah,
she's like, "I don't want to go talk to them," and they're forcing her, and she's just like very downcast and stuff. And cut
yeah.
to she's at his door.
I wonder what would have happened if her mom had. I don't think that this dumb teenager would have heard her mother, but if her mother had said, "Your father will kill you if you go with that boy."
Yeah, I don't think
And
she would have believed her.
no, I don't think so either. I think she's, yeah, is it willful? I don't know, but like, yeah, she wouldn't have because she doesn't
Yeah.
believe
I
it
think
ever. So,
her love for them also blinds them. Like one of the most striking moments in this film for me that just like truly breaks my heart, even more than the last scene in the film, is the scene where Prasha says to her, "Here's some money. I'm gonna go look for work. Can you please go and buy like rice and lentils and garlic and onion?" And she's like,
yeah,
"Okay." And she comes back and she presents him with like a tiny bit of rice and like one garlic. And he's like, "Where's the rest?" And she's like, "There's nothing more. Here's the money back." And he's like, "How did you only buy this one?" She's just looking at this poster and she's like, "I bought that." And it's like she's a baby.
she's a
This
baby.
girl is a baby. She has no, these people have no reason to be running away from home and eloping and doing all of
No,
these things.
no,
But as stupid as it is, it still doesn't mean that you deserve to die.
no, of course, of
Right.
course.
But that
Yeah.
scene, I'm like, no scene in this movie highlights to me what an absolute baby she is. But that scene where she's looking at the thing and then she just says to him, like, "I miss my home." And there's multiple scenes when they're
Yeah.
together in Hyderabad that she cries because she misses her family. Because you do get the sense that when she did live at home, I do think she was very loved
Oh,
in
well,
whatever, you know.
materially anyway.
Yes.
The lack of material is really, you know, played up in their
Mhm. And for all you know,
eventual.
like, probably her mom was, like, super affectionate and sweet to her. There's those little girls who I presume are her
Yeah, hard to
cousins. They're
say.
really
Yeah.
sweet. But I think she's so blinded by her love for them that it's unfathomable to her that her parents or her dad would ever do that. She potentially also thinks that he's just full of bluster,
And like she
you
knows
know?
that they came with a gun because she took
Yeah.
it.
Mhm. Yeah.
It's like she knows they meant business.
Yeah.
So why, yeah, why did she call her mom? Why?
I
Why?
know.
Why?
I know. And that's the thing too, right? Like in the movie, if she didn't contact her mom, or if she wanted to contact her mom and Persha stops her from doing it, he's like, "No, you can't call her. What is wrong with you? Like, seriously, don't do this," right? Or call her from a PCO just to hear her voice and
Mm-hmm.
slam the phone down. Don't like talk to her. Don't tell
Mm-hmm.
her about our life. Don't tell her we have a baby.
No.
Don't tell. Then she's going to get mad at him. And we're also going to get mad at him. We're like, "Oh my God, this girl misses her mother. Like, let her talk." No, that should never have happened. There's
No.
so many moments in this movie when you're watching it for the second time that you're screaming at the TV.
Oh
But
yeah.
the thing is, the first time I was watching it, I was not screaming
Hmm.
because I was in the moment, it seems kind of reasonable. Like, okay, maybe not so bad. Like,
Mm.
you hear of people like that. I had a classmate back in Lagos, and she was from a Sikh family, and she fell in love with a Muslim boy in her class. They were from Delhi, like they moved back to Delhi from Nigeria, and she wanted to marry him. Her parents were very Orthodox Sikh, and they
Mm.
basically told her, "If you marry him, we will disown you." And she did not believe them. Whatever. She eloped in the middle of the night, left, and I was like Facebook friends with her for a while. She converted. She had a kid. She
Wow.
actually lives in the US somewhere.
Mm.
And one of her common friends was visiting Delhi, and she wanted to talk to this girl. So she called her parents' landline and she said, "Hi, I wanted to talk to blah blah. I don't have her contact information anymore." Her dad was the one who picked up the phone and he said, "Oh, we have no daughter of that name," and he slammed it down.
Yeah.
She's married. Her sons are now teenagers.
Mm.
She has not spoken to her parents in more than a decade. So, but they're not killing her. You know what I mean? Like, it's and I found out through the grapevine that she actually does maintain a relationship with her sister. Her
Mm.
sister is married and also lives in Delhi. So she has somewhat of a relationship with her sister, and her sister is like kind of sort of part of her life, but her
Mm.
parents don't have a part of their life. So it's like, I don't know, who's to say? Maybe it's okay for you to talk to your mom. Maybe talk to her, but don't give her your address. Or maybe don't talk I don't
But
know.
I assume that your acquaintance's parents didn't send goons with a gun
No,
after
they
her
didn't.
husband. So, right? Like,
No,
so
but
this.
there's people because honor killings is like a huge issue even in the
Hmm.
UK
Hmm.
because of all the Punjabi population over there. And there are people who have been born and raised in the UK that are of Punjabi heritage, both Indian and Pakistani, whose parents have,
Yeah.
those people aren't goons either. Those people, their parents are like accountants and stuff. Those people aren't goons. And also the presumption that I would have is that if you left Punjab, whichever Punjab you left, and you moved to the UK and you raised your children there, my assumption is that you at least ascribe to some Western values, and you don't think it's and you.
Girl, have you seen DDLJ?
Well, yeah, but that happens too. I
Yeah.
mean, I don't know. It's so heinous and it's so horrible, and I think that's also what makes the movie so terrible.
Hmm.
Because it's just not pat. It's just
Hmm.
not easy and simple.
No, not at all. Not at all. I think what you said near the beginning about that it takes this extreme violence and puts it in a non-extreme world, or an apparently non-extreme world that is
Yeah.
not, that on the surface doesn't seem like a violent
Hmm.
world, is important, but it also just underscores how violent the everyday world really is.
Exactly. Yeah. And it kind of like lulls you, right? Like it's the pretty music and the slow motion shots and the slowly unfolding romance and the stars in the eyes and you're rooting for them. It's like, oh, how lovely, how pretty, what a beautiful love story. And then it's like bam. It's like, what did you do?
Yeah.
What did you do to me? you
Yeah.
know I to answer the question that you asked at the beginning of the episode, I also think that that's why Sairat became such a monster mammoth blockbuster. Like I was looking at the writer and director, whose name is Nagraj Manjule, he was basically like a nobody. He had made one movie in Marathi ever, and that movie is called Fandry, and it's a very like critically acclaimed movie.
Yeah,
And
that's certainly a movie I've heard a lot about. I've never, or heard people talk about a lot. I have
yeah,
not seen
Fandry is
it.
like really good. And so he made Fandry and then he received financing to be able to make Sairat. Sairat was made on a shoestring budget. Most of the people in Sairat are complete no, like with
Hmm.
no acting talent whatsoever, the main cast and everyone. A lot of the scenes, he's literally cast people from his own village because he just didn't
Nice.
have the money. Like Jingat, for example, that big party song,
Yeah.
everybody in the village and the neighboring village is basically dancing in that, right? So there's scenes in the movie also where like little bit roles are done by his like brothers and his family and people like that. So it was made on a budget of 4 crores. On its first day of release in Maharashtra, it made 4.5 crores. On its second day of release, it made 5 crores. They started adding midnight shows because by word of
Wow.
mouth, it became a hit. Then they released it nationwide, so outside the Maharashtra territory. By the time it finished its theatrical run, it had made 115 crores. Can you
Wow.
imagine the return on that investment? I wish I was the
Yeah.
producer. And this is a movie that almost all of my non-Marathi friends have seen.
Hmm.
Like
Hmm.
everybody has seen this movie. And I think the reason it became the monster hit it was is precisely because of it's just firing on all cylinders. You really care about those characters because those characters are so easy to love.
Mm.
And the music was so good and just it's but I don't think anyone has seen anything that courageous and that raw.
Mm.
I don't know a single movie whose ending is as shocking, where the rug is pulled out for you. Like I literally do not know a single movie like that,
Mm.
you know? And I think for most people, it was just shocker. Nagraj Manjule did say that this movie could never be made in Hindi. There's not a chance in hell. Like no one would ever have let him make this movie because the
Mm.
ending itself, people would have wanted him to change it.
I mean,
Um,
again, Love, Sex, or Doka does it.
it's a small, tiny little streaming
It's a,
thing. It's
it's a,
not a big movie.
it wasn't streaming when it first came out, right? It was a, cinema release, I think.
Yeah, but it's also not like a big mounted production with like songs and things like that. It's not like an epic movie of that
No, but
nature.
I mean, in a way, it's even more the bait and switch feels a little bit less because it's shorter. I
Right.
think because you don't have as much time with them, but I think the bad guys actually dismember the bodies in that one.
Ugh.
So like it's even more
Yeah.
gory. And because it has the whole like, I want to be a filmmaker, I'm inspired by DDLJ thing, like the sort of filminess of the mind of one of the
Hmm.
characters, I think, yeah, that kind of messes with some of your thoughts about what's going on. But yeah, that's not to take away anything from Sairat.
Right.
I just feel that the two feel quite similar to me in some ways.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah,
Because
yeah.
like also with Love, Sex, or Dhokha, I don't really care about any of the characters. Like, you know what I mean?
Huh.
Like, I don't love them.
Oh.
Whereas with this one, it's like I love them and I worry for them.
Mm.
Even when they're eloping, like it's like I have two minds. There's one part of me which is like, good for you, attaboy, attagirl, you show them. And then the other was like, oh no, please don't show them. Right? Like, please actually do choose the path of cowardice. Please
Mm.
actually say goodbye to your love and just try to live. Um, so it's just this kind of like warring mind where I'm just like worried the whole time.
Hmm.
I think that's kind of what made it so insanely crazy. I think one of the things that also for me that I love, and for many of my women friends, I've never heard a man talk about this for whatever reason, but I think for a lot of women, including me, it was so refreshing to see a heroine that looked like her.
Sure. Yeah.
There's no like stupid size zero shit and like the fillers and the Botox and the perfectly straightened hair. Like she has
Yeah.
frizzy hair and she's
Yeah.
clearly not a size zero and she just looks like this normal girl. And also like she's just not like glam.
No,
I
not
don't
at
think,
all. Yeah.
and even the outfits, like it's so realistic. Like the outfits she wears are like nice in the beginning of the movie, but they're also not like fresh off the
No.
ramp or
Yeah.
anything. And then later when they move to Hyderabad, you see her wearing that same inexpensive salwar kameez day after day after day, just
Hmm.
getting grimier and grimier. And it's like, it's so frustrating when you hear like people in Bollywood, especially actresses who have had 1 million plastic surgery things done, talk about body positivity. And I'm like, you're
Yeah.
full of shit. Like, do not be talking about body positivity when y'all literally encourage women to starve themselves on a daily basis. Like, don't even go there. Just admit you've had all the procedures done and you think that there is one standard of beauty, but don't talk down to us. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? And I love that in this movie, there's no big deal made about it. This is who she is. This is our heroine. She's beautiful. We think she's beautiful. Hopefully you think she's beautiful too. And that's all there is to it. You don't see bodies like that anymore. She's
Hmm.
not even plus size, but that would be considered plus size in Hindi
Sure.
cinema.
Yeah.
And the fact that Karan Johar bought the rights to this movie and then made that stupid movie Dhadak is like such a slap in the face. And like
I
freaking
remember
Janvi
people being
Kapoor,
so mad about that.
it was
Yeah.
so infuriating. It's like you missed the whole point. And it's like they took Janvi Kapoor with like not one expression on her face and the Botox and the nonsense. And I'm like, why do you just make your stupid love stories, Karan Johar? Don't even try, you know. But I like the way she looks. And I think like a lot of women, especially like that, because I think we're so used to this like idiotic, like very Eurocentric model of beauty where you have to be
Hmm.
like skinny and white and you just kind of have to look like a model. I mean, Katrina Kaif is like the gold standard of that.
Sure.
Um, but yeah, I like the fact that she just looks like normal.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah,
So
everyone's very normal
yeah.
looking in this movie.
Yeah. Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah, I don't know that I have too much more to say.
Yeah.
The to me, it seems like the sort of powers of this are very obvious. When you
Yeah.
watch it, you're like, yeah, I get it. What I would like to read, and I did not leave myself enough
Mm.
time to do so, is there are a few claims on Wikipedia that there are instances of people actually getting behind mixed caste or mixed religion marriages
Mm.
because of this movie. I'm like, I would love to think that's true. I
Right.
would love to see the actual journalism about whether that's true.
Right.
Because sometimes I agree with you that we need to see these stories and listen to them.
Yeah.
Um, and then what do we do with that experience, or like
Mhm.
especially people who are in smaller cities or villages
Mhm.
or whatever, what do they do with it? Or what do people who are in mixed, families or relationships, what do they do with it? Or people who are the parents of mixed
I
marriages
mean,
of which they are not fond, like, do they watch this movie? Does this movie
right,
change anyone's mind? And I'm not saying it has to in order to be
right.
considered good or successful, but I'm very
Yeah.
curious about that. And if that is part of why it took off, like, this is clearly speaking to people
Mhm.
vastly, like it's, the fact that it's been remade so many times.
Mhm.
So this really clearly means something to a lot of people. And I'm
Mhm.
wondering what, if any, action or mind changes or actions have
Mhm.
happened. And, it's hard to trace that kind of thing sometimes,
Yeah.
but I would love to,
I
to know more about that.
Yeah, I don't know about that, but like I was watching an interview of Nagraj Manjule's. I watched like a
Hmm.
bunch of his interviews, and there's like a really good interview of his that was done on Film Companion by Anupama Chopra. So
Mm-hmm.
but the only thing is the whole interview is in Hindi. So and
Mm-hmm.
I tried to hit closed captioning just to see if you would be able to watch
Yeah.
it, but like the captions were also in Hindi. So I'll put it in the captions in case people want to
Mm.
listen to
Yeah.
it, because it's like a two-parter where he talks about the process and everything. But it doesn't have English subtitles. He did talk about how when he had gone for like a screening of the to see what audience reactions were and stuff, that he did have someone come up to them and say that their parents did reconcile with them. To answer your question, this is just me just speaking out of my
Hmm. Yeah.
Santa hat. I think people who are really far gone and horrific, because you really do have to have psychopathic tendencies to
Yeah.
even think that killing another human being is an option. Like, that is not hyperbole, right? And especially to think that killing your own child is okay just because they married someone you didn't approve, like that is
Yeah.
whack. I
Yeah.
think people who are that level of deranged will never like, it's like you can make all the peacetime movies that you want. Someone who is like a war hawk is never going to listen to you
Yeah.
anyway.
Right.
So I think those
Right.
people are far gone. But if we believe that cinema or books or music has a power to change people's minds, then I think it can at least have an ability to shape younger, more malleable minds,
Hmm. Hmm.
and at least, show them that this is like an option, you know
Hmm.
because it's kind of like you can't have it both ways, right? Like, you can't say that cinema has no power at all,
Right.
and you can't say that cinema has all the power.
Right.
But if we believe that cinema has some power, like if we're saying that movies should not, show that it's okay for women to be treated poorly, or it's okay to make fat phobic jokes, like fat jokes or whatever, or it's not okay to be like jingoistic or whatever, because that can affect people in a certain way, then I think we can also say that movies should also be promoting better messaging.
Hmm.
And so I think if you even have like a few maybe younger malleable minds who feel like, then I think that would be a win. And this is like very, very anecdotal, but I have this friend who lives in Brooklyn actually, and he's from a very small village in India, like very small, to the point that half the time when he speaks in like Hindi or even English for that matter, I have to ask him to repeat himself because his accent is so thick. And he works for American Express in Manhattan, and he told me very proudly during Pride Month that he signed up to be like an ally. And I said,
Mm.
what does that mean within the context of American Express? And he said, what it means is on my cabin door, I have a little sticker that says I'm an ally. And that means
Yeah.
if you work at American Express and you want to talk about how being queer might be affecting you,
Hmm.
you can come and talk to me and I can see at least what I can do. And I was like, oh, okay. Now, this would be very non-interesting if this was just one of my like regular New York friends, like, okay,
Sure.
like we're all,
Sure.
you know, allies or whatever. What is very interesting, because I had a conversation with him, and some of the most amazing conversations I've had with in my life have been with this man, right?
Mm.
He literally said that when he was growing up in India, he learned by osmosis, he was taught that to be gay is unnatural and it's
Hmm.
wrong and it's sinful. And he was also told, like, oh, it's just a fad. People just want attention. And so they say they're gay and stuff like that. Right. So he was
Mm.
definitely homophobic, and he definitely had that mindset. Cut to he moves to New York City and he's living in Brooklyn. And he said, on a daily basis, taking the subway, going to work, I was encountering people who were of all shapes and sizes. For the first time in my life, I was thrust among different people. And he was like, I could very much have held on to those homophobic ideas I had and whatnot. But, New York City had a way of like changing my mindset. And in 7 years, I've gone from being a homophobe and thinking gay people are unnatural to putting a sticker on my door because I don't think it's unnatural. And when people send me WhatsApp forwards that are like making fun of queer people, I stick up for them. I was so proud of him in that moment. Like, to me, that shows so much character growth. Whereas with me, there's no character growth. I was always a supporter, right? But I also don't come from the kind of background he does. So I'm just saying, learning and growing. Change is possible. But you have to be open to it.
Right. And
if you don't care, then I'm sorry.
Yeah. And we can't do better until we think or know better. And if a film, that is, I think, where art often plays a role, right? Is that it can help think, and it provides this sort of canvas that's a little separate from you, where you can think through some things and then apply it to yourself, or, yeah.
I think even things like little things like, choices that you make, like you're choosing to cast people that don't look conventionally, even that's like a step in the right direction.
Yes.
Or, stuff like that.
And I'm sure helps this film hit harder, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
It seems more normal.
What were you saying? You were saying something when I interrupted you.
Oh, I was just noting that there is a link in the Wikipedia article for this film about that links to a Rediff story that kind of gets into this a little more about what people are, some organizations that are speaking on these issues, and a few examples from people about having seen the film and it helping them reconcile and things like that. So that's great.
I know that there's a concept. This has nothing to do with Sairat, by the way. This is just a comment about honor killings. That there is a thing in India. It's called love hostels, and they're primarily in North India, which is where the vast majority of honor killings happen. So it's like UP, Punjab, Haryana, Bihar. It's there, Rajasthan. It's centered mostly, but they exist all over the country, I believe. And love hostels are basically a government-sponsored thing that happened like a few years ago, where it's a safe house for intercaste or interreligious whatever couples, and they can like hide out over there, and there's like security and stuff. And because they're in danger, literally.
You mentioned there's a Bobby Deol film where he plays
it's really bad, but that's how I discovered that there is such a thing as a love hostel, because it sounded so preposterous to me. I was like, what? So I Googled it, and I was like, no, it's an actual thing.
God, imagine being the security guard at one of those places.
Yeah. No, and in that movie, in the Love Hostel movie, Bobby Deol plays an assassin who tracks Sania Malhotra to that love hostel and stuff, and then commits a lot of like carnage. But yeah, it's sad. I mean, this movie is like, it makes you feel all the feels.
Yeah.
But it also is so sad. Like, I can't believe that it's like, you will produce children, you will purportedly love them, and then the minute they say, I'm going to marry someone of like a different caste or a different religion, or like I'm gay or whatever, and it's like, poof, you're nobody. That alone is so sad to me.
Yeah, it's very sad.
The fact that my classmate's dad will just slam the phone and be like, we don't have a daughter by that name. I mean, that alone is heartbreaking. Right? Just because she fell in love with a Muslim.
Right.
Apparently that is the worst thing she could have done. But the fact that people will even go so far as to kill someone, I'm just like, it's unfathomable to me. Yeah. So I know.
We were before we were recording today, we were talking about what we're gonna do next on the podcast. I'm like, well, whatever follows this needs to be more upbeat.
So actually, when I logged on to Zoom, and when Beth and I were doing like our sound checks and stuff, and of course I was wearing my Santa hat, and she was like, I cannot believe you're wearing a Santa hat to talk about Sairat, like the cognitive dissonance. And I was like, okay, but like, isn't that my personality though? I mean, like, I'm like relentlessly upbeat and cheerful and wear stupid shit like Santa hat all throughout December. But like at the same time, my favorite hobby is to cry, man. So, like, come on.
Well, I mean, there's crying, and then there's like Sairat
weeping.
Crying.
I
mean,
when
there's
I
like weeping
first
for fictional characters, and then there's like weeping for systemic injustice in the state of the world,
yeah.
One of these has its use, the other, I don't know. I hope it's useful because I'm doing a lot of it.
Right. Well, I mean, it's 2025. It's been a dumpster fire of a year
Hmm.
anyway. Like, what is
Hmm.
one movie gonna do to our moods?
That's right. You all are hearing this in January of 2026, and we hope something amazing has happened in the weeks between this and when you hear it. Probably it won't, but
But we're not
we hope it
hopeful.
will.
I was just gonna
No,
say.
no. Who knows? Who knows? We do have some sparkle packed episodes coming up,
We do.
including one. I don't know if it's correct to actually call it Hollywood. I don't remember if it's an American production or a British
I think it
production,
is.
but yeah, one incredibly
I'm very
infamous,
excited.
famous, gold and sparkle packed episode, which we cannot wait to
Bedazzled.
discuss. Yeah, and the we'll I'll tease it just a little bit further so you can make your guesses. It is not Indian in any way. However, it is about an incredibly filmy lady.
Hmm.
Both the subject of the film and the star of the film are incredibly
Yes.
filmy. So that will be fun.
I will give people a hint,
Oh,
and that hint is um, Sone ki dukan. It's a jewelry shop, is all I'll say.
this is a jewelry shop. I suspect we have not seen the film yet, but we are excited.
I
We
know
are
my husband
excited.
has seen it, and he was very excited to hear that we're. He remarked it is a doozy, and he would not elaborate. I was
Its
like, wait, what do you
reputation
mean?
is certainly it is a doozy. Everything about this particular actor is a doozy, and and this particular historical figure is a
Yes,
doozy. So yeah.
I'm very excited about it.
I also want to say, if there's anyone listening to this podcast, who came about because it was recently Jane Austen's 250th birthday, and I did some posting on social media about our Jane Austen episode from 3 whole years ago. If any of you are coming to this from that, thank you so much for joining us. And we do talk about books from time to time and book adaptations on this podcast. So there's a playlist for um, booky films, not filmy books, booky films.
Yeah. Speaking of
And
filmy books, we still have not read our great patron saints book yet.
that'd be a good January. It's dark, it's cold. What's less dark,
Isn't
but
dry January a thing that people do?
yeah, I
That could be
hear.
our dry January.
You want to not drink while you read Dave Annan's autobiography? I think that's the wrong way around.
Maybe Dev Anand will make me high, and maybe Dev Anand
You
will
need
just
no other
like, I
substance.
need the
Yeah.
nasha. Maybe Dev Saab himself is the nasha. Like, I don't think it is. Okay, so like, I'm not a very superstitious person, but you guys, I had a flower bouquet. I had like a
All
bouquet of
right.
roses on my dining table, and Beth had sent me Dev Anand's, Dev Saab's autobiography just because that's just what friends do apparently.
Mm.
And I had kept it under the bouquet. And the next morning when I woke up, there were a few petals that had fallen directly on his face. And I was like, it is a sign. It is a sign.
It's just a sign. There's also
It is the
another moment
ghost.
of Dost ya Dushman.
It is. Oh, that brings us to this segment. I feel like this year I have been such a good host, and everything I have recommended to you has been excellent. You have had your own Dostya Dushman moments where you made me
Sure.
watch Dharmatma, and then you made me watch the Dharmendra Jaws. So you've had your moments as well, but you redeemed yourself. So in this episode of edition of Dostya Dushman, what am I?
Teacher. Is there a third option for teacher? Doctor. Dostya Dushman, ya doctor.
I
Uh,
can be Amitabh Bachchan from Mohabbatein to you.
ah,
Parampara Pratishtha Anushasan Beth.
right, right. So I definitely would always have needed a kind of a nudge or stronger than a nudge to see this
Or
film
push.
because yeah. So this is the push that I needed. I certainly don't wish I hadn't seen it, but
Yeah.
this was how I will say, as hard as this movie was, and I did take a little break a couple
Mm.
times.
As you
I
should.
didn't I didn't check my phone.
Okay.
It for
Yeah.
sure passed the phone test.
Hmm.
And I was knitting during it, and because I was doing something simple enough that I could not look at that really and just look at the subtitles. And there are a couple moments where I had to pause and go, okay, go get a glass of water, go stretch, whatever. Also, it's kind of a longer film, but
It is, yeah.
mostly because of the subject matter, I did need I did need a break. And it did, I fell asleep after I finished it that evening. I fell asleep thinking about the movie. The next day I was thinking about the movie. I was texting with
Yeah.
a friend who doesn't watch Indian cinema, but I was telling him like I had to watch this.
Oh, Ponniyin
I had
Selvan friend?
no, history
Oh,
professor friend. I was like, I had to
okay.
watch this movie about honor killing. He's like, why did you have to watch that? I'm like, well, I promised my friend Pitu I would. And he was like, oh, the things you do for your podcast. I was like, well, yeah, such a hardship. This is obviously not a hardship, but it was definitely
You need Chaya Kadam to rescue you.
definitely a moment of yeah, art is important, and engaging with art about hard
Yeah.
things is important for sure, for sure.
Yeah.
Um, and this, for me, one of the interesting things about watching a film like this is by no means do I mean to say that there are no honor killings in the United States. It's
Right.
nothing I've ever looked into. I'm sure that they are. I'm sure that they are of various communities and not just, recent immigrant communities or anything like that. And
Mm-hmm.
of course, we've all heard horror stories about white and black interracial couples
Mm-hmm.
whose communities, mostly the white people had, and I say mostly simply because I don't know that whole story, but predominantly I'm sure the horrendously brutal, violent, illegal endings that have not been prosecuted to this day. So it's not like this isn't also part of the world that
Mm-hmm.
I live in, but it is less a part of the world that I live in, and for a variety of reasons, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And so confronting, how there's always, what do I want to say? Like the it, it's kind of like the social justice issue of version of the poverty porn movie, right? Like
Mm.
I don't want to treat this as like, oh, thank God that doesn't happen here. Not only
Right.
because it does happen here, but also because that's not a useful way to approach a work of art. So I was doing a lot of thinking about like as a non-Indian person, what do I
Mm-hmm.
think about? What do I take away from a movie like this? And I'm still mulling that over, which is one of the reasons it was so useful to talk about it and hear your
Yeah.
perspective about it.
I think that's also
Yeah,
one of the good things that this movie does is that it stays with you,
sure. I
and
can
it
imagine.
it it sparks a lot of conversations
Hmm.
too, right? Like
Yeah,
every friend I have, whether they're Marathi or not, or American or whatever,
yeah,
who has watched Sairat, it's not possible for someone to just be like, "Oh my God, I love Sairat." That always results in a conversation because
right.
everyone wants to talk. Like the minute two people find out they've seen Sairat, they're like, "Oh my God, let's talk about this," right?
Yeah,
Which in itself is such a rarity. I mean, how many
that's
movies do we
important.
watch? We
Yeah.
watch them, and by 2 hours later, we were already forgotten it because it meant nothing to us.
Well, we don't,
Right.
but normal people maybe do. Non-filmy ladies, non-filmy folks may,
No, we
but
just like
yeah,
endlessly talk about stuff all the time. But
yeah,
yeah, I think just all the conversations that this movie has spawned in itself are also because there's so many different things in it that you
right.
can talk about, right? There's even I've heard like people who work in the Indian film industry have even talked about stuff like financing, for example,
Oh yeah.
how it's important. Like Nagraj Manjule, I did read, I watched another interview of his. That one was in Marathi, where he talked about how he wanted to make sure that he made a movie that was very good and very true to his vision. He wasn't going to compromise on the writing and the story and
Mm,
all of that stuff, but it was important to him that the movie be a hit. Because
mm,
if your movie does not make money, guess what? You don't get to make your next
right,
movie. And so
right.
he was like, one of the things about Fandry is that Fandry was very critically acclaimed. People love
Hmm.
Fandry, but Fandry never received like the sort of, it has no songs in it. It's very rustic. It doesn't
Mm,
have like any epicness in it, right? So people who watched it love it, but how many of those people have watched it, right? But
right.
he was like, was very sure that I wanted to toe this line between making something epic, making something that both the critics would like, but also something that would be accepted by audiences. That was
Hmm.
important to me. He said that in
Hmm.
the Film Companion conversation with Anupama Chopra as well.
Hmm.
And he also said that he was frustrated with the kind of movies that come out of Bollywood, where it's just they become these huge giant hits. And he was like, it's so frustrating because I watch it, and he used the word bakwas. He's like, it's bakwas and it makes crores and crores Bond movies. Meanwhile, there's good stories that don't get made, that don't get told, that no one watches
Yeah.
because they adhere to a formula that is unappealing to people.
Right.
So he said, I wanted my movie to be seen. So I made sure that the soundtrack was going to be fantastic.
Mm,
And I gave Ajay Atul the music
Yeah.
director duo, which Ajay Gogavle is also the singer of most of the songs.
Mhm.
He was like, I made sure that that was like on lock.
Yeah.
And even for the music, they spent a lot of money, because I don't know if you noticed, but a lot of the music it's like a blend of like rustic,
Mm.
rural Marathi drums and bass and things like that. But there's also symphonic elements to it.
Mm.
So they actually hired like a huge symphonic orchestra to do that. And the person whose name I read, apparently they worked on like things like E.T. and like big Hollywood things
Wow.
like that.
Yeah.
So no expense was spared. I mean, it was made on a shoestring budget, but where they had to spend money, they spent money, because he was like, I wanted this movie to be a hit. I wanted people to see
Yeah.
it. There is no point if you make a good movie and people don't watch it. So it even resulted in conversations like that, where it's like, is it good art if people are not even going to watch it? Or
Right.
should we try to make it appealing enough, palatable enough that people will watch it? So it's like an octopus. It goes in so many different
Yeah.
directions and conversations. Um, and it's just, yeah, I made the mistake of watching this on a school night. So I had work the
Mhm.
next day at 9 a.m. and I started the movie at 7 p.m. But that was the only day I could have watched it in order to be able to record our podcast. And I was like, it's fine, I'll live. I started at 7 o'clock.
Oh
It was done
no.
at 10. At the end, my husband and I were sobbing. And then at 10:30, I went to bed and I couldn't sleep until 2 a.m.
Oh.
And then my alarm went off at 7:30 and I went to
Yeah.
work all like bleary eyed. But I was like,
I can believe
so
it. I can believe it.
yeah. But it is the holidays. It is my birthday. As I like to say, it is not just Pitu ka birthday, it's also Jesus ka birthday. And to celebrate Jesus ka birthday, I've been wearing my Santa hat all December, and I've just been like merry and jolly and happy,
As
along with watching honor
as
killing
did the
movies.
wise men in Bethlehem wear their Santa
Yes.
hats.
I am
I mean,
definitely a wise woman. We know this. I'm
we do
very
know
wise.
this. Would you bring frankincense, myrrh, or gold?
I would bring tinsel, and it would be in the form of like a crown and a scepter and all of that.
Mm.
And I would say Jupiter ki shubkamnaएं. And I would try to channel our
Amazing.
dear Prithviraj Kapoor's energy to the baby Jesus.
He would make a really good Old
Jesus,
Testament God, Old
he would.
Testament Yahweh.
I don't see Prithviraj Kapoor playing Jesus. I'm sorry. I just can't. No,
No,
he's
and
too
like,
full of bluster.
in The Simpsons, sometimes when they show God, like an Old Testament God in the clouds, you just see the kind of knees and sandals, or maybe God leans over a bit and you see a bit of a gray beard. You could see his calves and you'd be like, God is fit.
God. Yeah. Oh my God. If they made like a Jesus Cover Day kind of movie, I I think Prithviraj Kapoor, honestly, I feel like he would be like Pontius Pilate or something.
Oh yeah, a Roman bat,
Right?
but they would rewrite it and then they'll like have a nice song about how everybody is Rocky Brothers and
This
I
is
don't know
true.
how we're gonna rewrite the Bible a little bit here, but if we can rewrite
Yeah. There'll be
Greek
a happy ending and
Greek
everything. Because
history,
like
we can
Sikandar
rewrite
had a
that's
happy
fine.
ending. Remember at the
Right.
end they were like waving and they were like,
Bye.
bye,
Bye,
bye.
Greek friends. Bye, Macedonian friends.
It would
Um,
be like that.
Speaking of Greek things, before we sign off, sorry, this is going all over the place. Have you watched the trailer for Christopher Nolan's Odyssey?
Yes,
What do you
girl, I'm
think?
here for it. I'm very excited.
Because I know
I
you
I
love the
am
Greek myths.
dying. I love the Greek myths. They are so filmy, Beth.
They're very filmy. I am not for the casting in this movie, and Christopher
Yeah.
Nolan is not someone I enjoy. I don't think film bros listen to this podcast, but in case they
Yeah.
were listening, they're not now. Um,
Yeah.
and that's fine. So I am question mark about this film. Like, I don't
I
imagine
just
myself
really
going
want
to
it to be
see it.
really good.
Yeah, yeah, and it makes me want to go back and watch some other Greek myth films.
Mm.
Um, so yeah,
No,
I
I'm definitely
don't
gonna
think
see
this will be
this.
for me, but I'll be interested in the opinions because I just don't. I like Matt Damon a lot, but like I don't know. Now, have I read the Odyssey, the whole thing? No, I have not.
I
So
read the Cliff Notes version. I tried very much. You will get a kick out of this. I was trying to read the Odyssey. I checked it out of the library, and I was on a flight to Las Vegas,
ah,
and I was reading it. I know, I
that's
know,
not very long.
I know. It's not very long, but like, also, who flies from San Francisco to Las Vegas reading a copy of the Odyssey? Like, hello, nerd. Nerd alert.
Plane reading
Yeah.
is a whole other thing,
I
right?
couldn't finish it. I just couldn't finish the
Yeah.
Odyssey. It was just too much. I have finished the Iliad though, and that was a slog as well. So,
Yeah.
but I am very excited for this movie.
If I can't remember if I've talked about this before on the podcast, and my apologies if so, but a couple years ago, Stephen Fry did books on Greek myths. So he
Oh,
does sort of an overview, and then he does one on Troy, and I think there's a couple
that
of
sounds
others.
amazing.
And he does the audiobooks. And so
Mhm.
I've recently read the myth one, Mythos, I think it's called, and then
Oh
Troy.
yeah.
They were really good. I couldn't even quite finish Troy. Like I got to the horse coming in, I'm like, okay, I know what happened after that.
Have you read
So
Source by Madeline Miller?
no,
Oh, Source is really good. It's
yeah,
really good. It's also a myth. I mean, it's
sure.
Greek. It's really amazing. And it's so beautifully written, and it's like a feminist retelling of the mythology. It's really amazing. And then I
Uh,
read another book that was on Medusa also. Medusa is like such a fascinating
yeah,
character as well.
there's a, I
She's
believe,
the original Nagin lady.
right.
Her hairs are
She
Nagins.
really is. There's also I believe, feminist version of Beowulf that's come out,
Oh yeah,
a recent translate like 5 years ago or something that I started, and I was like, some of these, I want to watch them. I don't want to read them. I don't know what that says about me. Probably nothing good. But I like being told the story more than I like reading the
yeah.
story, I guess. But I also feel that
Yeah.
way about, I do read mysteries, but I would rather see a mystery than
But
read
that's
it
also why
myself.
I feel like Odyssey could be so exciting because I mean it's
Right.
actually a
It could.
very cool and fun adventure
Oh,
story,
sure. Yeah.
really. So I just feel like it would be fun. But like, yeah, I agree with you about the casting. Isn't Anne Hathaway also in it? And I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't know if that
It,
feels epic enough to
I
me.
I it was one of those, you ever watch trailers where they take out the big bombastic music and you just get the, I was like, that's what I wanted. I was finding the bombastic music way too much. I'm like, I feel that this incredibly classic tale could probably rest on its own
Yeah.
devices, like the telling as it was told in yore, right? Like, and I'm not saying no one in ancient Greece ever put music to it. I have no idea, but like basically they didn't. So I found that very distracting. So I need
I
to go
think
and see if
it's
someone's
probably going to be
stripped
very
that out.
masala.
I think it's going to be very bombastic in a way that probably
Hmm.
annoys me. But
Mm.
Christopher Nolan tends to annoy me. So
You know what I'm excited about, and this is never going to happen because I have no intention of flying to the UK anytime soon. But I really like the Scottish actor Sam Heughan,
mhm.
and he currently is uh, doing Macbeth
Ah,
on the London stage,
oh
and it's
wow,
kind of like a modern retelling of
that would be
Macbeth.
cool.
It's so cool. And I've seen like his costumes from the show and everything. Like he's wearing like a sequin jacket and whatnot. I am so
Ah,
excited. I really want
interesting.
to. Yeah, I really
Hope
want to.
is
But
it
like
they film some of those sometimes, right? Like at National Theater and stuff. They'll film
maybe,
them
yeah.
and you
I
can
mean, it
rent it.
started. I think he literally just got on stage like a month ago or
Mm.
something. So it'll be a while. But I mean, I really, really wish I could. His autobiography is one of the best filmy biographies I've read.
Ah,
He has a book called Waypoints.
huh.
I thought it was really fascinating. He talks about his very like impoverished childhood. He grew up on like a council estate. His
Mm.
mom was a single mother. He talks about eating disorders among male actors and how they're
Oh,
not
interesting.
talked about enough, which I was like
Yeah,
interesting. It's
yeah.
just really such a raw, beautifully written book to the point that I am like, I always like support him in all his endeavors.
Mm,
Like I'm definitely a bona fide fan, so I wish I
mm.
could see him on the stage. But and he's very proud because like he's Scottish, and so
Yeah,
he's very proud that yeah,
yeah.
it's like fun. Um, what was I gonna say? Yeah, I think this is gonna be like a fun movie year coming up. I'm not really interested in anything coming out of Bollywood, but Anaconda releases Christmas Eve. I'm gonna go watch it. I love Nags and Nagins. It has Paul Rudd, who has been my crush since I watched
Well, and
Clueless.
Jack,
Jack Black,
yeah, he's so fun.
he's so funny.
He's
Yeah.
such a good, like, what an entertainer.
And I feel like that
He's so
pairing is going to be
talented.
so good. Like,
Yeah,
they're going to be so snarky and annoyed with each other. So I know how I will be celebrating my Christmas Eve. I will be
nice.
wearing my Santa hat, celebrating Jesus ka birthday, pehla din,
Mm,
pichla din, watching Anaconda. And then Project Hail Mary comes out. And I have a friend, Rachel, that she and I might read the book
mm.
before we go watch the movie because it's by Andy Weir, who also wrote The Martian.
Ah,
And then I get to see Project Hail Mary in the theaters, which is very exciting. Ryan Gosling, also another favorite. And then I am very excited for the Odyssey movie that's coming out as well. So like I have my hopes in Hollywood, let's just say.
Okay.
Yeah. Not so much excited by anything coming out of Bollywood,
I
unfortunately, but
yeah, and I don't even know. I haven't even looked. I got
yeah.
I've said this before. I need to find a consistent way of hearing more about what's coming. And I don't
Mm,
know what that is other than once a week I set a thing on my calendar and I Google. Like there's got to be a better way.
yeah.
Especially now that I'm not on Twitter. I don't know what that way is.
Some
But
sort of like filmy account, probably like Film Companion or something. I don't know.
yeah, I mean they don't
Hmm.
really exist anymore, right? So
I don't know. Or just become friends with someone who's like in the know and just have them like force feed you information every
I do
week.
know our friends at Kandan do a good job of reacting to trailers, or not
Okay.
not in the like trailer reaction way, but they do comment on trailers. But I'm almost always behind in listening to every
Yeah.
podcast, so except for normal gossip, I'm almost always up to date on normal gossip. But
Nice.
wow, we're
Okay.
really off topic, you guys. I needed a little brain cleanser after talking about Sairat. So
You have earned yourself a cocktail. I am proud of you.
yay!
You have watched this movie. You did a good job. Ooh, I have to ask you, what movie did you think I was good? Okay, first of all, I thought you were so naive and so innocent and such a bebe, just like Archie is, because this was Beth's idea, you
It
guys.
was.
Like
It
not watching
was.
Sairat, but she was
Oh,
like, for your birthday, should we do? And she called it. She said, should we do a Pitu birthday veto episode? I was like, what's a Pitu birthday veto? Like, I don't know what that is, but sounds good because it has my name and my birthday in it. So like, I support this, but please explain. So she goes, Pitu birthday veto means you get to pick the topic, and I will watch whatever movie you tell me. And I was like, you would
so it's not
give.
really it's not really a veto. I don't know why I called it
Yeah,
that, but
but it sounded good. Like I
dictate.
liked it.
Yeah.
It gave me a
Dictum.
feeling of power.
Yeah, yeah,
But I
yeah.
was like, you would give this level of absolute power to a complete lunatic like me, huh? What does that say about you? You
It
were
is
very
America in
naive.
2025. So what are you gonna say? No,
No,
I,
you were
I
very naive and very innocent.
quite genuinely, I have uh I mean your hit rate for recommendations is very strong.
Thank you.
And this is a movie that I knew at some point I needed to watch, right?
Yeah.
So I did not, this is not what I expected you to do. I expected you to
No.
do like Sunny Deal or something. Um, so which would have been even more violent, probably,
Yeah.
but wouldn't
And
have
it would have
felt
been completely pointless.
right. Would not have had the same impact that this film did. So yeah, no, I was a little surprised that you pulled this out, but then also I remind myself like you do really love like a lot of the 80s art films and things like that. And this
Yes.
this is not that either, but it's, in some ways a little bit in that
Hmm.
direction, um, in certain ways. So yeah, I once I pondered for a few minutes, I was like, oh yeah, this makes sense as a thing
Yeah.
she would recommend. Because also like, one of the reasons I wanted to do this is because I think it's fun to use these kind of arbitrary things. Like one's birthday is quite arbitrary. Like
Yeah.
let's do something with it. And so like we did twins for my birthday because I my birthday falls in the Gemini zone, and I don't know what would be a good movie to associate with your astrological sign, for example.
Yeah,
So
I'm a Capricorn, as was Jesus, which is why I have so many like amazing qualities. I love saying that, by the way. I always tell people my birthday is near Jesus.
I think
So,
saying that Jesus is a Capricorn is very funny. Very
right?
funny.
Actually, I use that argument a lot. People are like, would I be wrong? Would I
Very
do anything
stubborn.
wrong?
Very
Am
stubborn.
I not? Like, also like wonderful,
Right.
and people should listen to me.
But it's not like we can
And I
go,
should probably form my own religion.
we need to find movies about goats.
Yeah,
That's harder. So
that's hard.
I did want to do something with your birthday. So I thought that would work. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, and we did. I mean, if you were a newer listener, we did an episode on cake in
Oh
in
yeah.
movies, Indian movies. So cakes and other festive foods. A couple years ago, we've done a snow episode. So we've done some of the
We
more.
did a party songs episode for New Year's.
Mhm, right away. Yeah, so we've done some of the more obvious ties to
Hmm.
this chunk of holidays in
Hmm.
sort of the West culturally Western world, in
Also,
which
home for
both
the
you and I live.
holidays.
Yep, and we have our Home for the
Yeah.
Holidays episode. So,
Speaking of party
yeah,
songs, Sairat has a very epic party
it
song,
does have a
Jangat.
great party song.
Hmm.
I don't remember having heard that song before, so it was a very pleasant surprise. I mean, I
It
must
was
have. I just
so
don't remember, but
amazing.
it
Yeah.
was fun to hear it. Yeah,
Yeah.
and see
And
it.
because that is for Prince's birthday.
Right.
It's Prince's birthday party song.
One good thing that Prince causes, the one good thing about this boy is that there was a great song for his birthday somehow.
Yeah, exactly.
Miserable little.
Weasel. Okay, I think that concludes this episode.
Yeah.
We would love to hear what your thoughts are. If you have seen Sairat, please tell us. I assume if you have come to the end of this episode, you have seen it.
And
So,
I would really love to know if you've seen any of the remakes.
mm,
Did they have the power of the original for you? And I would love to know more about
mm,
that because I can see how like watching this movie without subtitles. So if you
mhm.
know, are a Bengali speaker but not a Marathi speaker and you watch the Bengali one, like I can see how that would make it more powerful. But I'd be interested to know about that. Not that
Mhm.
I'm going to watch any more of these. I probably am not, but I when something is this when something leads to this many remakes, that's in itself is fascinating and says a lot about its
Yeah.
impact in some way or other. So
Hmm. Yeah. Okay, so tell us what you think, and happy birthday to me, and Jupiter ki shubkamnaएं to all of you. Bye.